Yeah. I'm trying to get better at sharing these videos because I watch them back and I'm like, ooh, cringy. Sometimes I'm so rushy and so nervous to get started that I talk so fucking fast. And the notes, sometimes I skip through them and I'm like, So anyway, I don't have notes today. And I'm going to try it this way. And I don't know if I'll post this, but, we'll see how we go. Today, what came to me was emotional safety, right? Now, I'm just going to start by sharing my issues around emotional safety. Maybe you can relate, and then we'll go from there, right? So, I, for a long time, was in a space where I was kind of forced to share my feelings. Whenever things would come up for me or I showed signs of something being wrong, it would create a situation or a dynamic where, for whatever reason, the person around me felt the need to, perhaps thought he was trying to help, to just try and like force it out of me, and so we could work through it there and then, I didn't really like that. Obviously, I didn't like that, and I struggled with that because I felt like I was being forced to come to a conclusion really quickly or to process really quickly, and I do feel upon reflection that a lot of it I didn't process properly, and that has its own issue. So then I thought, like, gosh, like there is probably so many people out there in situations where you probably don't feel safe to share your feelings, or your feelings being shared has meant that you're maybe not safe. That's a fucking real thing. It's a really vulnerable thing for me to share out with you, so I'm just going to take my time and try my best to articulate. So I was in a really long-term relationship from when I was 16 years old, and honestly, like, I reflect now and think, gosh, what 16-year-old knows what? Don't mind if I look to the side. What a healthy relationship is, and you're so young and in love, and you don't see a lot of perhaps things that aren't necessarily healthy. You don't see them as not healthy at the time. You're in love, right? So you just go along. There's a lot of things that showed up through the years, and a lot of things I excused, and then we both started doing a lot of inner work, and I thought, well, we're good, right? We're good. Yeah. I'll just keep it focused on me because I don't want to be, calling anyone else out. But over time, as the kids got bigger, I had more time to myself to reflect. I took more time, or I was kind of having a lot of situations that were coming up for me where I almost was forced to confront these situations myself as like, fuck, I'm so sick of feeling like this. Why do I feel like this, And I'll mention that initially I had trouble with my feelings, so that I think the dynamic was created by me having issues with my feelings, and my partner at the time feeling like the best way to help me deal with it was just to make me sit with my feelings. But that, yes, it did help, but it also down the line created like a toxic scenario where every issue was an issue that was requiring force to be discussed and things like that, which, as I got older and was able to hold my own, it sort of was like, I don't want to talk about it now, I just want some fucking space, give me some fucking space. And that requiring that space and expressing that out caused conflict, disharmony, maybe even insecurities, which then led to physical violence. Put it that way. I don't want to laugh about it. It's trigger warning for anybody. I'm sorry if I said that out without saying trigger warning. Maybe I'll put that in the title. Yeah. Hectic. So as things have evolved for me, and as I've sort of been growing and changing, I was able, can you believe that, to spend more time with my thoughts myself and process things. And also there was a time, became a time where my partner at the time was dealing with their own things, and so I was having to process my own shit while they were processing their shit, and my shit from their shit. If that makes sense, like my understanding of their stuff and processing, trying to get through that. So that's that created an opportunity for me to not have to deal with my problems with them because they were already dealing with their own shit. So I was sort of like could take a step back and deal or think about some of my things, right? But ultimately, it made me feel very unsafe if there was a situation where I maybe felt a little moody or a little agitated or a little, maybe overwhelmed. Because as soon as that happened, as soon as that happened or as soon as that came up, it was met with intimidation and sharpness and hostility, and not just towards me, but towards the children and the household, And for whatever reasons, insecurities, whatever, that's I'm going to talk about me and not that. So that's what would happen, and that's how I would feel. So adjust this. So within that, I don't know if I have to put this down or what. Hang on. I was also getting to know myself as well, and I felt like the more I shared out, sometimes, how do I say this? Like, person having their own trouble going on, I'm sharing out my things, and then I'm sort of feeling like perhaps I'm oversharing. Perhaps there's some things I should just keep for myself because I've been in this relationship, remember, since I was 16 years old. This is my person. This is my other half, and I shared everything with this person. And over time, honestly, we had detached from a lot of our family. We had isolated ourselves to a point where we just had each other, and that was it. Started working away, and then I just had me, and then that was hard too because I was trying to avoid excessively sharing issues I was having around the children. Like if I was feeling stressed or overwhelmed, I felt like I didn't want to overwhelm him at work with this stuff happening back at home because he's there working for us, and thanks so much for working for us, and you don't need to sort of be burdened with the home stuff. I'll try and deal with that myself. We had 4 children, so it was quite, it was a lot for them as well emotionally because they are used to having both their parents, and then suddenly they didn't have both their parents, even if it was just physically, so it was just all on mum, and they were feeling the pinch. They were really feeling the pinch because mum was stressed, mum was stressed, mum was snappy, so, yeah. I mean, I learnt ways over time to help regulate, but it took me a little while. So, but the space that was created by the working away was something that really helped me gain a lot of clarity. And I guess just natural evolution, meaning like having children and just sort of seeing their emotions. And I'm very like, I'm really all about like doing the best for my kids and just being the best mum I can every day. And I don't judge other mums. I don't really give a fuck what anyone else is doing. For me personally, I've had some experiences, and due to those experiences, the person that I am now is a person who wants to just be better than I was yesterday. Just try a little harder than I did then, and make the most of situations. I'm not perfect by any fucking means, and what even is perfect, but for me, I keep to myself, I do my thing, and it's just important that I'm trying to do better each day, that I'm trying to seek avenues and things that are going to benefit me. Whether that means that I have to fucking show up somewhere that I don't want to, or do something that I'm not comfortable with. If it's for my kids, I will fucking do it, yeah? So they have been my absolute strength, my push, my drive to be the best version I can. Because ultimately, I've brought them into the world, and I feel heavily responsible for making sure they're not fucked up. But they might be still, but like we're all kind of fucked up. But do you know what I'm saying? I feel heavily responsible for making sure that the part that I am in control of and how I can emotionally support them is what I should fucking do. I should show up and do that shit, yeah? So that's really important to me. It's just something within me. I think it's just, within my personality and what have you. I need to wash my hair, too much beach time. So emotional safety. My children didn't really feel emotionally safe. If they were loud, or if they were, the girls, they didn't even, because I've got 2 girls and 2 boys, they didn't argue back to parents. They didn't talk back. They did as they were told, they knew that if there was any kind of, input from them, that there was trouble, that there was at least intimidation, that they didn't feel safe to put it this way, they didn't feel safe to express themselves, yeah, clearly. And I had things like that when I was a child too, and even just because my parent at the time wasn't regulated, wasn't emotionally regulated. There was so much going on that what even was emotional regulation, I can't say, what even is and was emotional regulation back then? No one even fucking knew what that was. So something I've come to learn in recent years is if I'm not emotionally regulated, then I'll be heavily triggered. And that's obviously something I've learned through my own experiences of upbringing and seeing it in my own fucking behavior, of course, right? So, you're tired or stressed or what have you, and then the kid wants something and you're like, just not right now, leave me alone, or snappy, or go do something else, or whatever it is you say, do, snap, whatever. And we all do that. And I'm not fucking hating on anyone or trying to judge you for that. I fucking get it. I get it, man. I am not, you're not alone. I've done that shit, plenty. Just ask my kids. I'm not condoning it, but I'm just saying, that's happened, and it's because of that experience that I've been able to see that I should do more and can try to be better, right? And sometimes it's hard to be better, right? Because you're so overwhelmed with your own stuff, your own relationships, your own life, your family, what have you, that it's hard. And so I just want to lay out for you what I did over time, right? So over time, I started to recognize that people didn't agree with me, or didn't, or felt uncomfortable with the way I was raising my kids, or the choices I made, or whatever, And it's not that I didn't respect their views. I respected them a lot. I just started to fucking notice that they didn't respect mine. Meaning, something real old-fashioned, for example. Trigger warning. Did you circumcise your kid? No, I didn't. Why not? Well, because is that even what you do these days? It's a medical thing. Normally, unless you're religious, and I hope I'm not offending anyone by saying this. This is just an example. How about Panadol? Let's just use Panadol. Let's take circumcision out of it. Sorry. It's a real excessive one, but let's go to Panadol. I don't give my kids Panadol, right? Because I believe that it affects their liver. It's not good for them to, because ultimately, okay. I'm not here to offend anyone or tell you how to fucking parent. Just caption that, right? Seriously. It's just what I do. I'm just giving you an example because for me, examples are how I relate, and hopefully you can relate too. So there we go. Panadol, right? Used to give my girls Panadol fucking like it's going out of fashion. Yeah? Paying for this, paying for that, fucking teething, whatever. Panadol, yeah? I learnt later on that Panadol, the amount we were giving our children back then, which was fucking any willy-nilly thing, is not good for their liver. It's not good for them also to associate pain and dealing with pain through then having Panadol. Panadol tells the brain to shut up, basically, and it switches that off, switches that little signal off, so you're not feeling the pain anymore. It still exists in the body, whatever the fuck is happening, but you've given them something and it switches the little messenger off to say, sorry, we don't actually want to listen to that right now, so we're just going to turn that off. That works for a time, especially for kids in pain and excessive and shit like that. But over time, if we're using that for every fucking thing, then our kids are not going to know, or nor are you, what their health situation actually is, what their pain tolerance is like, what their conditions might be, what can help them to move through these things, and root cause stuff. So I'll make another video another time about pain in the body. That's another topic. But basically, using these small things that make it go away is making the learning and the lessons, and it just fucking stretches shit way out, yeah? So I had 2 daughters already. I used Panadol with them a lot. My son came along. He had a lot of issues. He stopped growing in the womb, and in my umbilical cord calcified, and we nearly died. So I was immediately once learning that, and honestly, he was born in 2017, and I didn't actually know about that until 2020. So at 3. Yeah, fuck, man, what a wild experience that birth was, and how that all went down. My son, my boy, my first boy. And I took that shit so seriously because he was my boy. I had 2 girls and I loved them to bits, but this was my one boy. And I didn't want to fuck it up. I wanted him to get what he needed. I wanted for me to hear him, for me to pay attention, for me to see what he needs, and meet those needs. I won't go into all the other things that we had were issues-wise, but, basic Western medicine, put it that way, was affecting his health heavily. Starting from when you're pregnant, That is what my first issue was. And I had all that shit when I was pregnant with my girls, and I didn't see an issue at the time, right? So I'm not coming from a place of fucking telling you how to do it. I'm just saying what I've learned, right? And what I've done won't work for everybody. I'm just trying to give you some examples of what might help. So why am I going about this? Safety, right? So, just because I questioned it, I've lost my fucking train of thought now. See what happens? I'll do it back home. I'll just keep going. Fuck. Do I fucking hate that? Pause for a sec. I was just saying to myself, fuck, I'm 16 minutes in and I've lost my train of thought. But I'm going to skip over the finer details and just say to you that having my children really helped me step into my power, because what was important for them, it was important that I show up and stand up for them. So, my topic is about emotional safety. So my point being is that I was learning how to keep my children safe emotionally, and how important it was for them to be emotionally safe, to be able to share with me the things that were really important to them. Fuck, I hope I'm not skipping over shit right now by fucking losing my train of thought. Anyway, right, I get it now. Right. So what I was saying was about people and their opinions, and standing in your power to make sure that you're advocating for your children. That's the summary of what I was just talking about before. So I was finding people in my life that were questioning my decisions around my children. And that really fucked me off, because they're my children, you don't even know them. But paneling them up and all these sorts of things, I was learning was just really quick fixes. They're Band-Aid fixes, and they're not long-term fixes. And this is what's kind of happening in society, where we're getting antidepressants, we're going to the doctors, and we're getting all kinds of suppressing medications that are suppressing our feelings, yeah? So it's not just you, because as a society, it is actively being encouraged that you suppress your feelings. Now, it's not everywhere. Like, there's a lot of services for domestic violence and stuff like that. There is a lot of those services, and let me just stay on that point now to say that I was in a situation where I didn't consider myself in a domestic violence situation. I didn't consider that. It was that, but I didn't consider that to be me. I was sort of like heavily criticized about being a victim, and having a women, you're a victim, and it made me not ever want to be a fucking victim, or not ever accept that I was a victim, which also made it really hard for me to leave, or hard for me to kind of, take any kind of initiative to move forward. In our relationship, I was super active. I progressed us through a lot of things. I was always the one getting our houses, all those sorts of things. So, not dumb. I'm smart at getting all those things sorted. And out in the world, I showed up as someone who was like headstrong, proud, and opinionated, whatever. But at home, I was opinionated to an extent. And then there was times where I had to just shut the fuck up, or I was in trouble. Or there was going to be trouble, put it that way. And you know what? You may watch this one day, ex-partner, and you may not fucking like it, and I get that. But this is my story, not yours, so fuck off. Get along. Fuck along. Yeah, so it was hard. So I'm just going to fast forward to a time when I started to realise that, hey, I'm having things come up within me, and the person that I'm with tells me they love me so much and they're going to keep me safe. But ultimately, I don't feel safe around them. And I know my children don't. That was a huge, huge issue. Now, I had to figure out how the fuck I was going to get out of that situation. And I've left before and come back. I have, when I was young, you know, thinking, oh, I'm doing the wrong thing. My parents should have stayed together, you know, we should make it work, the kid, blah, 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 whatever. I didn't think we fucking had kids then, did we? No, we didn't have kids when I left. But anyway, the point being is that I had my own issues from my own upbringing about leaving and being a single mum and not wanting my kids to have that kind of upbringing, you know? And I told myself stories and I made lots of excuses, lots. And I even made shit make sense to him. For example, like I would, I would excuse behaviours. I would come up with, you know, maybe you just fucking like this. Maybe you just like that. Maybe you're just not into that. Or, you know, I made him feel safe in his own with his own personality pretty much. Because that's the kind of person that I am. I don't demand change. I just demand, hoped that I demanded respect and love. And that's what I was giving. And I figured if I showed up like that, then ultimately I'll get that in return, right? Right? Anyway, the words were filling the void, but the actions, they ultimately weren't. Yeah? They ultimately weren't. Yeah. I drew my courage from my children, right? I tell them everything. I talk to them about a lot of things, and you might think that's too much, but I want to hear how they're feeling, how they're going, and, you know, I just feel like it's really important to include them in stuff. And fuck, you may agree or not agree, whatever. I just think that children are not stupid, and they can offer really valuable input. And sometimes it's just really like pure input as well, like, you know, unconditioned input or straight up opinions. And because we'd isolated from our family so much, and I honestly didn't want other people to know what was going on, they were already in the house. My girls are older now. They're 17 and 14. So, and as much as they had sort of a sheltered view on things, I've still felt so much trust in them. They know what's going on, you know. And the very last time I spoke to them about this type of stuff before I made my decision, they were like, Mum, no, like, let's get out. Like, this is enough, you know. My children were drawing in relationships. My daughter, my daughters, I'll say it like that just to keep it open, were showing up in the world, accepting this kinds of behaviour as well. Let's just put it real fucking plainly like that, yeah? And I was seeing this, and I wasn't seeing that they were getting it from me, right? And it wasn't until my daughter had made a point to me saying, you're out there saying you're fucking embarrassed for me to tell anyone this stuff, but like, then you're also out here telling me that I shouldn't put up with this shit. And there you are putting up with that shit. Fuck. The fuck is that? And I applaud her for pointing that out to me. I do. Because that's all I'm fucking about. Like, straight up, I don't go out there telling my kids to behave a certain way and show up in the fucking opposite way. That is not how I roll. I believe that we should lead by example, and we should hold the moral compass for them, you know, like, by display of behaviour. We need to show up for them like that. That is the best way to learn. Someone can tell you all the rules in the rule book, then you see them behave, and if they're not doing any of those things, well, what is your example? You know, like, I don't know if it's just a mental thing or how I'm fucking dyslexic, I don't know what the fuck, but like, for me, my favourite way to learn is by seeing it in action. So you can show me all the theory you fucking like, but the moment you show me, you know how you have your theory, and then you want to do your physical or your fucking... Trust me to forget that fucking word right now. Anyway, I can read all the theory you like, but I need to do it. I need to see it happening, yeah? I need to see it, you do it, and then I can do it. I'm thinking about science experiments, you know, just, you read all the things, and I'm like, yeah, just show me what to do and I'll do that. That's how I mentally learn. That I learn by that. Whatever the fuck that is. I sound like such a retard. Anyway, that's how I learn. That's how I best learn. So I believe that for my children, the best way for them to learn is by seeing me show up like that. It's easy to learn from someone you see do it, right? That's easy. You can mirror that shit easy. And we tend to mirror each other anyway, as in like out in society and out in the world. So fuck, it makes fucking sense to me. Anyway, hope it makes sense to you too. I shared with them everything, and they shared with me that, yeah, they give me some truths and some reality checks, and I was like, fuck, I didn't realise. I thought that staying would be the best thing to do. You know, keep the family together and all that, but I soon realised after hearing directly from them that it's fucking not. It's not. It's toxic as fuck, and they don't want to see this shit continue anymore, right? I keep touching my hand, sorry. bothering me. So that gave me all the strength I needed. But then what next, right? Because ultimately I was fearful of an altercation. The reason I was coming to this conclusion was due to the last physical altercation, put it that way. A physical altercation where I didn't fight back. And for the first time in a 22-year long relationship, I didn't fight back. I'm feisty as fuck, yeah, and I will fight my way out of everything. I do, have. I've always protected myself, even though I've not done anything else, like in a way of reporting or anything like that. I've always protected myself, yeah. I've tried to stop myself from hitting the ground harder or breaking bones and whatever. Anyway, let's leave it at that. But this last time, I didn't do that. Our little boy's 3, and our other boy's 8, and 14, 17, right? That shook me the fuck up. I was like, why the fuck didn't you fight back? What is going on with you? Me, I'm asking myself, that's not okay. That's not okay. You have kids. You have responsibilities. They fucking need you. And you didn't even fight back. What next? Right? What fucking next? I sat with that for a while. He went back to work. And then it all started to unravel. Now, I don't know if you have space to do this type of shit. But maybe you just take a bit longer each morning when you drop the kids off at school, or whatever it might be for you. Go have a coffee. Wherever you can create space. If you don't have space, I didn't have space, yeah? Like, for myself. I was so used to sharing everything that taking that time and doing things alone was foreign, right? Foreign. I did everything with him. We talked about everything. There was nothing that I didn't move through, honestly, by myself, right? I helped him, me, all that sort of thing. Where's my daughter? So, yeah, give me a sec. Tripping, wasn't her? Anyway, she'll be here soon. But, yeah, so I didn't have that space. So, when you started working away was when I had that space, and initially I was just fucking overwhelmed. But take the space to try and sort of work on your own, like to sit with your own thoughts. So fast forward into, I took that space, and for 2 weeks after, like the whole 2 weeks he was at work, I was just writing and crying and writing some more. In between that, I found some things to distract myself with, which I was so excited about, because finally I had space to sort of, I'm looking up at the things, to start learning, and things I really was interested in. I was super excited, and that helped me to get through it, to focus on the things that I had a little bit of passion about, and then I just started to fucking expand on that passion hard. Anyway, there's something that you can do too. We'll talk about that as well. But sit with it. Sorry, bloody bikini top. Sit with it as much as you can, as much space as you are allowed or you can make, to try and move through those things. Now, I created a situation, I'm not going to tell you how to do it, but I created a scenario where I didn't want there to be conflict, right? I wanted to make this call and have this planned out in a way that I was going to be safe, that the kids were going to be safe, right? And that for me meant not starting conflict, not having any kind of confrontation. This was going to come out normal, like in a fucking normal tone, in a setting where everyone's all chill, somehow. Didn't know how the fuck, but I was like, this just has to come out real natural and not out of a conflict, right? Because out of a conflict, we make super irrational decisions, and it seems like when you do it from a space like that you can be making, like a judgment call, and maybe you might go back on it, for example, right? Keeping in mind, I had the physical altercation, months prior, and it was just sitting with me, the fucking guilt of not showing up for myself and defending myself. So, yeah, ultimately, I just recognized within myself that there were things that I was sharing, and that all of this was just more exposure. The things I was learning about myself, I was sharing them with my partner, and it was just exposing me more and more. I was trying to step into this feminine, my deep feminine, and embrace myself. And I mean, there's a lot that I didn't even want to know about myself when I was younger. I had real issues with my body, and I was just starting to kind of come to terms with those things. And I was learning them and sharing them, and learning them and sharing them. And then I was sort of feeling like, I was getting this inner feeling of, maybe there's some things you should just keep to yourself, like some things are not for everyone, some things are just for you. And it was like difficult because I was so used to sharing everything that this new thing of like, you know, things I'm learning and you know, things I'm learning about myself and things I'm starting to appreciate and all that sort of shit. I don't need to share everything out, but it was just so like, it's new. It was new. I've been with this person a long time. I shared everything, yeah? Everything. So trying to find the space where, okay, you don't have to share everything. You shouldn't share everything. Maybe just keep some things to yourself. Because I was finding that some things I was sharing were maybe being taken advantage of, and I'll just say it like that. Or they were, you know, can be used against you later on. Well, I don't think she's here. Anyway. And I wasn't really liking that. But I was thinking, well, fuck, you're doing that. Like, you're sharing it out, and therefore it's being utilised. Like, the only one who can stop that is you. Stop fucking sharing, right? So the inner things, I started to realise that respecting myself, some things are just for me. And that some things really should just be for me. Anyway. So, fuck. So much to share. It takes me so long to get it out, honestly. The way that I share it, fuck's sakes. Coming to that place, I was able to see that the best way forward was for me to try and plan things out. And so I didn't really know how I was going to go about moving out and things like that. I have a job that's paid fuck all, like $200 a week, fuck all. He had work away, you know, $1,500, $2,000, $3,000 a week. Like, it made sense that he moves out and I figure out how to pay rent or go single or something like that and pay rent, right? So I initially just said, look, I've got some things to share, and ultimately I didn't really want to talk about it all because we've talked about many things, but it was, you know, you don't make me feel safe. You're the only person who says you are the person in my life and the main person, and you tell me that you'll keep me safe, but you are the only person that can keep me safe. That reality shook me a bit, you know, like I'm not safe with you. There's some things like things that were coming up within me that I actually was starting to feel like, oh, I can't share this. Well, I can't share that either, because it's going to make him vulnerable, and then where does that leave me? Unpredictable spot where he could fucking lash out or something. I don't know. That's how unpredictable things work sometimes. Not all the time, just sometimes. And I can't even tell you when those times were. That's the unpredictability of it, which was fucking horrible. I'd never reported any of this stuff to the police. I'd never told anyone what was going on. I made him look like literally the best person in the world. I helped him resolve all of his fucking issues. I'm not saying I'm a saint. I'm just saying, like, I helped him with a lot of that stuff. I excused his behaviour to family and friends. I excused it to my children. I made it make sense. But I was realising that it didn't make sense. That you'd still treat someone like that after so long, after all they've done, you know? It doesn't make sense. And that's not stopping. And we've put in a lot of effort and change, and there is actions that still haven't changed towards me. And that's a real issue, because if we're showing up, talking and having these deep conversations, and we're saying we're so connected and we love each other so much, why the fuck is there still physical shit happening that shouldn't be happening? That should not be showing up. For me, I felt this shouldn't be showing up. It shouldn't still be showing up. Unapologetically as well. Yeah? Fucking hell. Anyway. Emotional safety. It's important that you take steps, because I'll try and wrap this up so I don't go on about it. It's important that you try to take steps to protect yourself. If you don't want to be a victim, I get that. Know that you're in a situation where you are likely, if you're in that kind of situation and you don't feel safe, family, friends, what have you, that is a place where you are a former victim, and you do need to seek assistance. You do. Know from me, I'm so fucking proud, didn't want to do any of that shit. When I stepped out and made a few calls, shit was falling into place for me. My angels, they fucking stepped up, yeah? They stepped up because I finally showed up for them and said, oh my gosh, I recognise what's going on here. That's all they're waiting for. The universe knows when you tell them and you make the decision, cleanly make a decision, things will unfold for you that you won't fucking believe, yeah? I went from having no money to having thousands in my bank. Thousands, yeah? Sorted. Because I was like, oh my God, I'm so done with this shit. I cannot stay here anymore. I need to make moves. And I had no idea how I was going to make those moves. I tell you what, I need to get a house and everything. I had no idea how. How, when, housing crisis, whatever. How the fuck am I going to do that? Kids, oh my gosh, right? Seriously. But I made the decision. I started writing out finances. I started writing out what we've got, you know, and putting myself first. And like, it doesn't, it doesn't end there, because I tried to walk away with nothing, ultimately, and then was patronised for that too. Like, you're making it hard for yourself. Oh, that's cute. I was like, you got everything. I've talked about this in another one. I've given to you everything on a silver platter, blah, blah, blah. Well, what's wrong? Do you not have everything? Are you making it hard for yourself? Good points. Really good points. Cunty, but good points. Which made me think, yeah, fuck, I think I am making it hard for myself. Maybe I should make it so fucking hard. Maybe I should take some of that shit back. It's all the fucking shit I got anyway. Yeah. So even though it was confronting to hear that, and fucking shit to hear that from the person who treated me like shit, it was like, well, actually, you make a really good fucking point. Yeah, I am making it hard for myself. I'm thinking that by leaving everything there where our children are, because that's where our kids are, and it would be better for them to have the comforts, that I am on the flip side making it difficult for myself to actually just more hurdles to jump, you know. I'm talking furniture and shit like that, right? Seek assistance. If you're detached from family, don't go back if it's toxic. Only go back if it's healthy, or if they're actually supportive, which I had a couple, thank goodness, and it's, you know, it's going to extend from there. Step out and seek that assistance, man, because it's necessary. It's really necessary. This person offered to help me with everything. Once he, you know, I thought, yeah, no, I'll give you that, and I'll give you money for this, and I'll give you money for that. Let me tell you, it's been 4 months. I haven't seen any of it. I was relying on it, and other people who also said they would help. Some of them were family even. They didn't show up for me. And I'm not saying they won't show up for you. I'm just saying, when you make these decisions, babe, whoever you are, make the decisions knowing that you might only have you to rely on. But out there are services that will help you. There are services. And if you don't know what they are, I want you to just fucking make one call and be like, look, the first call I made was I clearly said to Centrelink, I want to speak to a social worker. I want to tell them what I'm going through, and I want to know what the fuck I can do, because I have no idea what I can do right now. I had no idea how to take next steps. And honestly, all the information they told me, I have forgotten a lot of it now, because it was so much going on that I was so overwhelmed. But my point is that take a step, because that step has initiated other steps. Now we're down the line where months later, nothing's happened, and I'm looking into mediation services. I wish someone had told me that earlier, that if I had sought help from a mediator, that would have helped to solidify things a little bit more and make things more fair. Because I was all about fair, but honestly, I was the only fucking one being fair. There's no fairness. There's no caring about the kids' feelings. They don't care. The other person doesn't care, because they're likely struggling with their own feelings, you know? When I made my decision, it was then and there that my feelings changed. They shifted. And it became, okay, I'll move through my feelings, and now that I've spent a lot of fucking time on that, and not saying that nothing else will come up later, but I've spent a lot of time on that, because that's, for me, what I needed to move through, and it's just how I am. I am now focused strictly on my children. I have no emotional attachment to that person, and I'm just purely focused on the fucking kids. And I am noticing that a lot of the responses and reactions are reacted to me, not the kids. And it affects, ultimately, the kids, and that fucks me off a lot. But we have a mediation service now we're about to start, and they can agree or not agree. If they don't agree, then it just basically turns into you getting or what you like, because it progresses forward to court and things like that. I didn't want it to go there. I don't want it to go there. I was being so fucking fair. I won't take nothing, blah, blah, blah. But, like, honestly, it was a one-way fucking street, mate. And the tap was run dry, man, you know? And no fucks given, I can tell you. So, they're false promises sometimes they're not. Mine were. False promises from this guy. Going to help and do all these sorts of things that never happened. Never happened, still hasn't happened. Might still happen, doubt it. Because, ultimately, the call was made by me. So, that person would be hating on me because I'm the one who's fucked things up, or I'm the one who's walked away, right? And that's fine. I'm just saying that it's really important if you're in a position where you're isolated, like I was, because I was talking about moving through your feelings, and then it occurred to me that, like, fuck, man, I didn't even have space for a while. Like, how is someone going to receive that message when they don't have space? Yeah, right. When am I going to be able to do that? Find time. Fucking stay up late. Sit in the shower. Like, I don't know. Like, there'll be different things for you to do. Find ways, secretly, whatever you need to do, just to have some moments to yourself, you know? I didn't even take photos of things on my phone, such as incidences and injuries, things like that, because I was scared. I didn't want that shit showing up sometime by accident, you know? Like, there were many things I felt like I could have done, and I felt like because I didn't tell anyone or report it, that no one was going to believe me. And I can tell you now, that is not true. There were people that will help you. 4040, as I said that. But in all seriousness, that is not true. Many victims of these types of situations have never reported it. Why? Because they're afraid of retaliation, of course. That's why I didn't, you know? So, you're not alone. You can step out of these situations. For those of you who have, this is just one kind of situation. There's many kinds of situations, but I just want to share this on that situation, okay? If you want to reach out, you can to me, fine. I'm no expert in these situations, but I can only refer you to the services and things that I have been able to use and have been beneficial for me, and I'm happy to do that, so that they can maybe benefit you too. But you just have to be ready in your mind and see. Once you start to see it for what it is, you can't unsee it. You can't fucking unsee it, you know? And I've mentioned in other videos as well, and I just want to touch on this right now and just say that, you know, if you saw things in a different light back then, you thought things would work out great, and they still haven't, you know, there's other sort of reasons why sometimes some people don't. There's, you know, they've got their own issues from childhood, or maybe they've taken on, they've abandoned themselves, or maybe they're what do you call it, like what's the word? It's like a word. What is it? I'm trying to hurry, and I'm like fuck it out. So what happens when I try and hurry myself? It just shuts down entirely. See? It shuts down entirely because I'm being hurried. It's what fucking happens. Anyway. I fucked up. Yeah, some people suppress that shit. You know, what's the word when you like, there's a word for like detach from it, like you disassociate. That there's a problem. Don't deal with anything. Don't think they're all the words I was going to say, but that's okay. They're just situations where you maybe thought things were going to be great, and that they'd work out, and you guys are doing all the work, and things are still sort of not showing up in that way. I spent 22 years, babe. I gave my everything and my all, and honestly, I was fucking drained. I was having health shit going on, all kinds of shit showing up for me, and I never put me first. Everyone else was first. There was no time for me to be even last, you know, like, real. Don't leave it like that. You might already be there, but I hope you don't get there where you don't even consider yourself. You know, it's not nice. Yeah, so I'll leave it at that because I'm feeling distracted by the fact that my daughter should be here soon. And so much love to you, honestly. I hope I haven't fucking babbled, but the whole point of this was just to share a bit of my story, and hopefully I have without skipping out important parts. But yeah, it's really important that you seek assistance, you seek help. And you know what? If you don't want to be a victim, you're not a victim. You're a fucking survivor. You're amazing. And you don't have to see yourself in that light. Just know that you probably need help. You need some assistance. And just see it like that, and just like, fuck, this person said to me that they didn't want me reaching out to Centrelink. They didn't want me reaching out and saying anything about their pay and all this sort of shit, right? I was going to try and just figure it out myself somehow. Righto. The moment I reached out, there was a fucking pathway that unfolded, right? I want that for you. I want that for you, okay? It made shit so much clearer, okay? And then I realized, you know what? It only benefits you, that guy, that person, for me to not do that, for me to not reach out. It doesn't benefit me. I'm the one who needs fucking help, not that guy. Me, right? I'm in this position to help myself and my family now. So take the steps to help you, because that's the decision you've come to. So do the thing. Do the thing. All right. I love you. I'm going to go. Have a wonderful day. Bye, babes.